Hi, .NET Conf. Hope you're having a great time because it's about to get greater. We're talking about C# Dev Kit today. I'm excited. Are you?
I'm so excited.
Sweet. So let's do some quick intros and hop right into it. I'm Leslie Richardson. I'm a product manager on the C# Dev Experience team. I work on Razor, Hot Reload, and Aspire dashboard stuff most of the time.
And I'm Wendy Briding. I am a product management lead on .NET languages and productivity tooling. I work on C# Dev Kit and all of the great things across both VS Code and Visual Studio that you use every day to be awesome with your C# development.
Awesome. So just so we're all on the same page, let's talk a little bit about what C# Dev Kit is, and then we're going to just hop into demos.
Demos, lots and lots of demos. So yeah, to give a brief overview of what C# Dev Kit is, it is that productive inner loop experience for developing your C# applications in VS Code. It provides a solution explorer, which provides you all with the great project management and solution management tools that you know and love across in Visual Studio if you've used it before, or it just help you manage your files a lot easier. It also provides all of the great developer productivity tooling that you need to be successful. So IntelliSense, the navigations. We have an amazing, which we will show off, no launch.json file required to get started and run and debug your applications. And we have .NET Aspire support, so you can develop your .NET Aspire applications. We also have testing integration with our Test Explorer and even code coverage. So lots of really cool stuff.
Sweet.
So enough of slides. Let's switch over to my Mac. Awesome. So first thing I wanted to show off is there are a couple of things that you will need to enable to take full advantage of the demos that Leslie and I are going to show today. In the C# Dev Kit extension settings, there is the enable hot reload. This is still in the experimental stage. We're still working out and making sure that it is the best experience before we put it out in full GA form. So you'll want to check that one. We also have been working on an improved launch experience, which I'm going to show off, and so you'll want to make sure that that is checked as well. So if you're brand new and getting started in C# Dev Kit, the first thing you'll want to do is make sure you have an SDK. Also, if .NET 9 just came out and you haven't downloaded it yet, you can do that. You can do that right here within C# Dev Kit. And so this install .NET 9 right there for you. If for chance you need to have another version, the other ones are there, but you can get that download started right now. If you have some old ones that you want to clean up, we also have this uninstall.NET tool available to you, and this will show you all of the versions of the .NET SDK and the .NET runtimes that we have installed in VS Code, and you can remove the ones that you don't need anymore, which allows you to clean up your environment there.
I like that you can do all this within VS Code now too. Yeah. It used to be you need to go to a web browser and go to .net.com. I can't even remember the URL, right? Just go download it individually. So
exactly, you don't have to go out to Bing and figure out where you have to do or find all of that. Awesome. And so let's go ahead and dive in and get started. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a .NET project. This is going to bring up the list of project templates that I have available. I'm going to select the .NET Aspire Starter app because I think it's a really cool big app that gets everything going. I am going to pick where I want it to be installed, give it a name, and then new, since the last time, if you've been using C# Dev Kit since last year, we have these template options. And so this allows for you to pick which things you want to do. Here I got it configured for HTTPS. I am going to change it to use Redis for caching. I am also going to have it create an MS test project for me. And then I click create. And now that's going to do the same thing as it would do if you did .NET New and create all of those projects that are needed. And it's going to open it up in the background. You can see that my Solution Explorer has opened up, and I've got my 5 projects all right there and waiting for me. Now, as I said, I alluded to earlier, no launch.json is necessary.
Woo.
All I have to do is Shift F5. I want to C#. My project, and I want to start that app host. And everything is all set up. It's going to perform that first build, which the first one always takes a little bit of time. It's going to then start up all of the projects. It's going to launch that dashboard for .NET Aspire that we love so much.
Yay.
And everything is up and running. You can see my cache is there. I can go and I can start perusing the website. I can see that my counter works. I can see my weather. If I refresh, you can see that it's hitting the cache until 5 seconds is up, and then it refreshes again. So all is working well.
And look how easy that was. Seriously, if you have tried to create a C# app in the past without C# Dev Kit, it usually it was not that easy, right? Half the time I couldn't even get up to the F5 step, so that's exciting.
Yes, yes, so much cool stuff. But we're not done there. Like, there's so much more we can do. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring up a terminal. Now, released just recently, we have a new tool called dotnet scaffold. And so I'm gonna dotnet scaffold in the terminal, and this is gonna run a new tool. I've installed this tool and I want to scaffold Aspire, and I wanna add a database to my application. I'm gonna do the Postgres database. It wants to know, you're missing some of the text, so let me just scroll up here so you can see. It wants to know which one is my app host, which is that one, and then it wants to know which project is going to be the worker project. I want it to be my API service. I want to use pre-release packages in case there's any new goodness out there, and then it's going to go and it's going to do its thing. If I open up my app host and bring this up, you can see as it's making these changes, this file is going to change. It's adding NuGet packages. It's doing all the things to add that Postgres database. You can see magically all of it just added right there. Cool. And so there's my Postgres. It added it to with reference to that Postgres database, all there. If I come over to my Solution Explorer and look at my dependencies, you can see that PostgreSQL package is all there for me.
And that's hot off the presses, right? Scaffolding?
Yeah.
I don't remember that being there a couple months ago.
No, yeah. Yep, brand new with .NET 9. So awesome. This makes getting started and getting further than just that initial template a lot easier. Now, also new this year, I see that I'm still, my app host and my Redis are using the old release candidate versions. And so I'm going to go update my NuGet packages really quick here. This is going to tell me my current one is the release candidate. I want that 9.0.0 version. And so I click on that, that'll update. And I can do that same thing for this one so that I am all up to date with this app host project.
Very nice. So like if you're not team terminal, then it's great to be able to have this other option via the command palette.
Yes, so many great options we have available for us. So the next thing I'm going to show is I'm going to go into, close this out for now. I'm going to go into my API project, and I'm going to bring up Copilot. I want to make some tests. I see I've got this method here for weather forecasts. It's converting temperatures from Celsius to Fahrenheit, and I want to make sure I'm testing it properly. Sure. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my test project and I'm going to create a new file, and I want it to be an MS test class file. Did I click that? I don't think I clicked it. There we go. And I'm going to call that weather forecast tests. And that creates this new test file for me. And it's got all my usings ready. It's got my test class ready. I'm going to change that out. And I'm all ready to go. But I'm going to create a lot more unit tests than this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a folder. I'm going to call it unit tests. And I'm going to go ahead and drag that file into that folder. And now there it is.
Liking that drag and drop action.
Drag and drop, all ready to go. So now I need to start making some unit tests now that I've got everything all ready to go.
That sounds hard.
Yeah, well, I have Copilot.
Ooh.
So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to highlight. And you can see over in the Copilot chat, I clicked on this Copilot icon. This brings up the chat for me. When I highlight code, it references that directly in my Copilot chat. And I'm going to say, I want /tests, which means create me some tests. And I'm going to say, create unit tests using MS Test. And so then Copilot's going to come back with, I'm going to create this, I recommend creating this new test file. I'm going to add the necessary usings, and then I'm going to write unit tests for that. And then it's provided me with the set of unit tests here. Now, I've already created my files, so I'm not going to use the one that it's created, but I can just come right into here and copy and come back to my project that I created and paste it in. But I see that I've got red squigglies now, and that's because I'm not referencing that project.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, and again, I don't like going to the terminal, so I can come right in here and I can add a project reference and reference that API service right there, and then my red squigglies go away.
Nice, and that's a new addition too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have created a new project, we've ran it, we've done all this great stuff, but I've created these tests. Now let's go ahead and get going. I'm going to refresh. This has to perform a rebuild of the full project to get everything and discover those tests. Then my tests appear in my Test Explorer. Now, new recently as well is run with code coverage. And so I'm going to click on that one. This is going to do a quick build just to make sure we didn't do any more changes, make sure it picks everything up, and then it's going to run all of the tests, and then it's going to give us a code coverage report.
That sounds very simple.
Yeah. So here I can see I've got 100% coverage on my app host, but I still have some. I haven't touched my API service, and I still need some work there. But also you can see it shows my failures right here in line. And so I can look at and I can see, my expected value is 212 and my actual value is 211. My calculations may be a bit off.
Maybe just a tad.
Yeah, so I want to fix that before I get going. So while I'm doing that, we're going to switch over because Leslie is the master debugger and she's going to show us some really cool stuff.
Sweet. Also, to add to test real quick, if you are Team Terminal, you can view that same information in the terminal as well, which is cool. All right, so we're hopping back over to actually my Microsoft Dev box. So again, what's cool about C# Dev Kit and VS Code is that I can do my C# apps from anywhere. So we're back in Windows land. And I've got a bit more advanced of an application going on. It's also an Aspire app. Here's my dashboard related to it. Very nice. And I've already got it open. So let's just go to the tab I have. This looks pretty similar to what we were looking at with the template-based app that you just created, Wendy, except I decided to create a little game called Codal, which is based off of the hit New York Times game Wordle. I don't know, do you still play that?
I do.
Sweet, me too. So if you haven't played it, one, you totally should, and two, it's a very simple game where you have to just guess a random 5-letter word in 5 tries or less. And it also kind of combines some of the rules of that game Mastermind, if you ever grew up with that, where for each guess that you make, it will go through all of those letters and check either A, does the letter exist in the word and is in the correct position? If so, it's going to be a green letter like it is here. If the letter exists in the word but is in the wrong position, it's going to be marked as yellow. And then if the letter doesn't exist in the word at all, it's going to be gray. The only difference between Codal and Wordle here is that we made it nerdier, and all of the words are going to be coding and programming related. So get it? Codal. We like puns here, sorry, not sorry. So unfortunately, there are a couple bugs that we're gonna try to troubleshoot using C# Dev Kit because this app has got some problems, and that gives us an excuse to talk about debugging. So issue number 1 has to do with duplicate letters. I've got, in this example, a guess array, and it's listing 2 R's as being in the word in some capacity. However, based off of some of these clues, I'm having a feeling that there's only going to be 1 R in there, so there's something wrong with my duplicate letter logic. Issue number 2 has to do with if I type in a word that is not 5 letters long. So what I'm expecting to see, let's say I type in debugging, is a little error message at the bottom that's saying the word needs to be 5 letters, and I'm not getting that right now. And finally, issue number 3. I mentioned that you have to guess the word in 5 tries or less, but I'm getting a 6th bonus attempt out of nowhere. I should have lost by now. So that's really weird. So let's say I guessed a horrible guess, in this case, debug. I lost, but I should have lost a turn ago. So let's go and do some debugging. So just like as if I were in Visual Studio, I can set breakpoints wherever I want. I'm going to set some breakpoints in a couple of spots. The first being this if statement right here, which is checking if my guess is 5 characters long. I'm going to set another one on this if statement, which is checking to see if I actually have any more attempts left. My max attempts should be set to 5, which I can view right now. And once I reach that point while stepping through my app, I can hover over and see those values better in real time. And then finally, I'm also going to set a breakpoint in my guess class here that's responsible for doing a lot of that letter status logic. And specifically, I'm placing one on the if statement responsible for checking for duplicate letters.
Awesome. So you're setting breakpoints across multiple projects.
Yeah, across multiple projects. Doesn't matter. Really easy to do. And what's great is that if you're like me and you like to be breakpoint trigger happy and place them all over the place, you can view them all in your breakpoints window of the Run and Debug tab here, which you may not have seen recently if you're like me and you struggled with launch.json for the longest time. So welcome to this window that you finally get to use now that you made it to the running part of the app. So here we've got the breakpoints hub, which lets you view all of your breakpoints and where they're all located. You can double click to be relocated to where they are. You can also disable them from here as well. And we've also got your variables window, which is going to be responsible for the locals, which is going to give you local variable information, as well as the watch window, which we're going to explore in a sec. So to hit these breakpoints, I'm going to go back and make another random guess. So let's create a new game. And I'm going to use the array guess again. All right. So going back into VS Code, my first breakpoint has been hit. As I mentioned before, I can hover over and view different values that way, or I can check them out in the locals window. And specifically, I'm interested in having that display guess size message that I'm expecting to see appear. So I'd like to take a look at that variable in particular. Guess size message. And it looks like it's currently equal to false, which should be incorrect as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to, let's step through this just so you know you can step through. This should be set to true. And I'm gonna hit save. And normally this would be where I'd get an issue or where I need to like restart my application or something. But with the power of hot reload, it should work where my code changes are applied. I know it doesn't look like that right now, but that's which is a little questionable, and I might need to restart because this has been hanging around a while. But yeah, so hot reload, it's in experimental mode, just a heads up. So to address that elephant in the room, it may not always be the most reliable, but I promise we are working on making it a lot better so that it is more reliable. So I encourage you to turn it on and try it out. And if it doesn't work, you have a chance to share feedback as well. So we're gonna keep on going. And from there, I'm gonna hit continue. Oh, yeah, so okay. We're gonna do a little thing. I'm gonna stall for time by chatting with you some more about how great this is while I reload my window. So, yeah, I mean, we could talk about feedback for a minute too.
Yeah, so if you run into problems,
like that one,
just like that one, and you want to provide us feedback, we love getting your feedback. We highly recommend going into the help option and reporting an issue. And in report an issue, you can select issue for an extension, and you can select C# Dev Kit, and that will open up an issue right in our GitHub repo. It will provide us with what version of the extension you're using so that you don't have to fill in all those details for us. All we need is from you is what what you were doing and what happened. Providing some information from the output window is usually helpful in that instance as well. But yeah, we love your feedback and
Sure do. And what's great about going through that report issue via VS Code specifically is that it also retains all of your system info.
Yep.
So it just makes us helping you address your issue that much faster because we don't have to do a back and forth with you about what version are you using and all this other stuff that usually takes up time. So take a look at that. All right, so we are back to my app. We're gonna try this again.
So in that short of a time, you reloaded all of VS Code and launched up your app, which is running a SQL server on a Docker instance, all in that short amount of time.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right?
That is awesome.
I quite like that. All right, so taking a look, we already modified our guest size message to true. So I'm gonna hit continue. And now the other issue we're trying to address was number of attempts. And I did some digging prior to this discussion. So I realized that just based off of how my HTML and Razor portion of this app is implemented, combined with this logic, because I have this equal sign amidst the less than sign equal to max attempts of 5, that's what's resulting in this bonus attempt that I shouldn't be getting. So I'm gonna delete that, hopefully hit save, and Hot Reload won't be mad at me. Darn. Oh, you know, the demo gods are fickle creatures, right? Where it works like right before and then it's just like, nope. So that's a little unfortunate. Yeah, so again, it doesn't always work, but that's okay.
It's experimental. We're still working on it. If you run into these issues, send us feedback so we can address them and get these all worked out.
That said, to be mad at the demo gods for a minute, this worked like 5 minutes before we entered the studio. So fun time.
Always happens.
Always does. All right, so I'm gonna go, let's say that I modified my other ones, and usually with Hot Reload, I wouldn't have to restart. So yeah, that is the expectation, but it doesn't always happen. So if it doesn't happen, as we mentioned before, you can report the issue. Very easy to do. Go into help, and then report issue. Select bug report, feature request, or perf issue. And you can choose from any installed extension that you already have, which makes things so much easier. Select C# Dev Kit, and then put whatever is ailing you or whatever feature suggestion that you have, and we'll take a look at it. Cool, so C# Dev Kit.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of really cool updates lately. I'm excited to see what else we do. But on the topic of how do you learn more, good news, we have tons of resources for that as well. So, taking a look at resources, got a ton of different links at your disposal. First being, if you don't have C# Dev Kit installed, what are you doing? Install it. Go check it out. Yeah. Be sure to send your feedback, of course. And then we have documentation on everything from C# Dev Kit to Aspire, which has been making the cameo rounds for pretty much every talk I'm gonna gander for .NET Conf up to this point. We also have the code to the game Codal that we were talking about just earlier. So if you'd like to play around with it and see if Hot Reload works on your machine, because it should, then please go check it out.
But it was telling you it wasn't working, so at least you were getting that feedback.
You know, I will say that one of the
that is
things,
an improvement.
Yep, one of the things that we are adding to the Hot Reload experience is just additional information for when it fails. So you're not just gonna be left in the dark about it failed, good luck. Yeah, we're gonna put some additional info. So in that example, if I still had it up, something line directive around an active statement requires restarting the app. So I'm sure it was probably some bug that my fingers slipped on later. Yeah, we'll address it later. And so those are our resources. Be sure to check those out. And then also, we'd like to plug a couple other sessions, which as of this point have all happened already, so no excuses. So one of the big ones being Azure Functions. We've been talking about Aspire a lot, both in our talk and other previous talks, and Functions might have been alluded to, but nobody had enough time to talk about it in their talks, which is why Safia did an awesome talk a couple hours ago about how great it is just all by itself. So go check that talk out.
Yeah, definitely. If you didn't get a chance to see Safia's talk, you get to see .NET Aspire with Azure Functions and C# Dev Kit all in one session. So yeah, highly recommend watching that one.
Totally. And of course, I mean, Mads and Dustin are great. They did a What's New in C#, as they always do for every .NET Conf. It's like a tradition at this point. And then last but not least, there is an extension to the C# Dev Kit called the .NET MAUI extension. So if you're a MAUI developer and you want to do MAUI work in VS Code, go check that out, definitely. Rachel and David gave a great talk yesterday all about it.
Showed off all the great things available for MAUI with C# Dev Kit. Lots of amazing stuff. So check that one out.
Sweet. So thanks, everybody.